to know. And is that the reason you left social media? Because all the backlash you were getting for going to so many Diddy parties? It's just pathetic, man. People think this guy's a role model. He wants to defund the police, the most patriot people of America, serving and protecting our country. LeBron, you're a fucking scumbag, and I hope you get locked up in the same cell with Diddy.
Well, Colby, nice to see you again. A bit of a historical moment for me. I've never seen someone streaming Media Day on Colby Chaos TV at the same time as we're asking you questions, so that's a bit of a history for you there. Talk to us about this fight, how it got made, what made you accept a fight with Buckley, and the journey on how you got here.
Yeah, so I called the UFC when Belal had a pager on his foot and he backed out because I guess the pager exploded on his ankle and messed up his toe, which is just weird. You guys need to ask Belal, why is he wearing pagers around his ankle? It's just weird. But so he pulled out of the fight. So I called the UFC and volunteered. I wanted to fight Shavkat. That was the fight I wanted. You know, I think he's all hype. He hasn't fought anybody at my level, an elite fighter in a 5-round fight. So I was excited to fight Shavkat. But the UFC had already had other plans that said, hey, we're going to do the other fight with the cuck, Garry. So, you know, they wanted to do that fight. But they're like, hey, but we need to fill this main event with Joaquin Buckley at Tampa. You know, he's not a star. He's a bum. He's a nobody. So we need someone to sell this show. Can you be a company man? Come do it. I said, absolutely, Hunter Campbell. Whatever you need, man. I'm a company man. I love this company. God bless the UFC. God bless America. But what a great opportunity to fight my home state and defend home turf in Tampa, Florida. You know, 3 hours up the road from where I live in Miami, Florida. So, you know, it's just a beautiful opportunity. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, UFC.
Joaquin says that you guys have met before, and there was a time actually before your fight with Usman, the first fight, that he asked to train with you, and you sort of the rounds never came to fruition. So he says you actually have a somewhat of a relationship from back then. Do you remember those days when you were training together?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I offered him to train. He'd come train in strength and conditioning class with me. I'm like, hey, come jump in conditioning class with me, man. I got no issues with you. You know, he wasn't in the same division at the time. He was at 185. So, you know, I told him, hey, come on up, you know, do some conditioning. And, you know, I have no problem or beef against the guy. So, yeah, we train together. Nothing wrong with that.
Feels like a rare occurrence for you these days, not having beef with the guy you're about to fight. You must be quite refreshing for you.
Yeah, you know, he's a young up-and-coming hungry guy. He hasn't been on my radar. I never expected to cross paths with this guy. You know, I expect to cross fights with the biggest and best names in the sport, you know, the world champions, the big guys, not up-and-coming hungry guys like him, younger guys. So, you know, it is refreshing. You know, I have no ill will towards him, but Saturday night, you know, I'm definitely going to have to take his win streak.
For you then, is this the perfect opportunity to remind everyone that actually you're still one of the best in this weight class, and this guy is a hungry, rising talent that you can prove like, hey, he's good, but he's still not as good as I am at this level?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, people have been trying to trash my name for too long when I fought the best fighters in the world for, you know, 8-10 years straight. So this is my opportunity to come out, beat a young, hungry, up-and-coming comer that's on a long 5-fight win streak and, you know, has a lot of hype behind his name and, you know, explosive hands. So it's an opportunity to bring him to the deep waters in the main event spotlight and show the world that I'm still the best welterweight on planet Earth.
You did mention them before. Ian and Shavkat did fight last week. I'd be curious to get your take on how they both performed. And, you know, Ian wasn't very nice about you in the lead up to that fight, said you'd never fight him, etc. I wondered if you have any response for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's a cuck. He sits in the corner while his wife gets dogged out by the nutritionist. Isn't that just weird? Like, I don't know why more people don't, you know, talk about that. It's just disgusting. That he brings the last name of your wife's ex-husband. It's just fucking strange. And, you know, my thing is hey, he does nothing for my career. What does he do for me? He's an absolute nobody who's beaten nobody. So I told him, hey, if you want this fight, just answer the 3 stipulations. Turn on your comments. Your wife wants to be so famous so bad she's quoting Shakespeare, which is just weird in itself. And we know how much weird shit goes on in Shakespeare about fucking cousins, fucking family, all the weird shit they do. But hey, you want to be famous, make a video begging for the fight. And then if you really think you're going to beat me, Ian, agree that if you lose the fight, your wife has to be in my video for BC Game, and we do an America's Pick of the Week for the people. He couldn't, you know, he couldn't answer, and he couldn't meet the stipulations, so there's no reason for me to fight him. He's a bum. I mean, the fight's never been offered, but I can tell you one thing. I have the power to make fights happen. I can go to Hunter Campbell. I can go to Dana White and be like, hey, Dana, hey, Hunter, I want this fight. This is the fight I want. This is the fight that makes sense. This is what the people want. But he couldn't make those 3 stipulations happen, so I don't have time for him. He's irrelevant. He's a nothing. He does nothing for my career. Beating him will do nothing. So, here we are against Joaquin Buckley, and Saturday night's going to be explosive.
You don't think at one point you'll fight Ian Garry?
If he meets those stipulations, all he has to do is turn his comments on. Like, why is he so sensitive with the fans? All he has to do is have his wife make a video. She loves making videos. She's making videos to Sean Strickland, trying to quote Shakespeare like she's so smart and this and that. She loves to put herself in the limelight and act like she's a part of the business. So, and then if he's so confident, let's put a risk on the table. If you lose, she's got to do a video with me for my new sponsor, BC Game. Otherwise, I don't have time. It's just a waste of my time. He's a fucking cuck. I don't want to fucking go with a cuck. Who knows where his hands and his fucking whole body, what type of fluids are on him and shit. Like, that's just disgusting.
And on the other side of that, what'd you think of Shavkat, like, as far as his performance? And now it looks like he's going to fight Belal Muhammad. So what did you think of his performance, and what chances do you give him against Belal?
I didn't watch the fight. I was too busy, doing some other things, doing some streaming on my new Twitch for BC Game. Shout out to all my fans out there on Twitch that were live streaming, watching me right now. Got a lot of love for them. I got bigger things to do than watch these up-and-coming nobodies that haven't accomplished anything in this sport. They have no merit. They haven't been in title fights like me. They haven't won world titles like I have. So, I heard it was boring. I heard his stock went down, and he got exposed. He was all hype. He's got all finishes against all nobodies. He beat the busboy from Outback, the Outback Steakhouse that serves bloomin' onions. Like, how prestigious is that? So, that's why I volunteered to fight him. I volunteered to fight him on 3 weeks' notice. I called Hunter. I wanted that fight, but instead, I got pushed into this fight. Not pushed into it. I'm happy to come and save the day for the company. I love this company. I'm a company man. Love the UFC. It's such an honor to fight here. And, this is the true excitement in my life when I get to come fight for the UFC.
And what do you think is at stake in this fight against Buckley? He says that he's going to go out there and pull off a knockout of the year, finish you, and then leapfrog Shavkat. Do you feel like sort of the same thing is for you? Like, if you do something spectacular on Saturday, maybe we're talking about you in a title contention?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's always in title contention. I'm the biggest name in the sport. There's no stars in this division. It's a bunch of bums, a bunch of fucking guys that have about as much charisma as the wet mop in the corner. So, I'm the superstar in this division. I call the shots. I am the champion. Everybody knows I'm the king of Miami. So I think after Saturday night, when I convincingly beat Buckley, I'm next in line for the title.
Buckley says that he thinks that you took this fight because it's the last fight on your contract, and it just kind of worked out that way. What's, I guess, your standing with the UFC as of now?
Yeah, that's fake news. Before my last fight, I signed a new 5-6 fight contract. I'm a lifetime UFC fighter. I'm not going anywhere, and I never will. Even if it was the last fight, I would never leave. Like, I'm staying here in the UFC. I love the UFC. They've done such good business for me. They brought a kid from a small town in Oregon that had nothing, a blue collar family, a suburb area where I came from, into a multi-million-dollar athlete. So, I'm super thankful to the UFC, grateful, and I'll be here forever. I'm not ever going to entertain another organization or going and doing these gimmick fights. I'm not about that. It's not about the money anymore. It's about honor. It's about respect and paying respect to the company that gave me everything. So, UFC, I'm a lifetime UFC fighter.
Just a couple quick ones. I know you go well prepared for these fights. Joaquin Buckley has been killing it at 170. He's 4-0. What have you made of his rise at welterweight? Has he impressed you? What have you made of his wins and his skill set?
Yeah, I've never watched him fight. I honestly,
not even in the lead up to this fight?
No, not even the leader. I never watch my opponents fight. Like, why would I worry about what they're going to do? They got to worry about what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring the bedroom cardio to the octagon on Saturday night. And I could tell you, a lot of mamacitas in Miami have been slayed in the last couple weeks in the lead up to this fight. So the cardio is going to be on point. We're going to blow the roof off the arena. It's going to be electric. And, I got some special guests in attendance that'll be walking me out. It's going to be a memorable night. So not really worried about what he does. He's going to have to worry about what I do.
Who are these special guests?
I wish I could tell you. I don't kiss and tell. I got to keep it a surprise. I got to make it a bigger deal. So, it's gonna be a good one.
You said you don't kiss and tell, but you just told us you slayed half the women in Miami.
Yeah, but I didn't say names. And I could tell you the celebrities and all the people that are in my DMs and all the women that I've been with, but I'm not saying names.
And lastly, I don't know if you've seen some of the fan chatter, but like after your performance against Leon Edwards, a lot of people said, well, maybe we just saw sort of the best of Colby is already in the past. He's past his prime, this and that. How do you feel about that chatter? And how do you feel personally after having gone through this training camp? Do you feel like you're still an elite welterweight?
Oh, I know I'm still an elite welterweight. People don't realize, if you go look at the media day from before that fight with Leon, I tried to go do a training camp in Breckenridge, Colorado, because the altitude is like 9,000 square feet above sea level. I ended up getting HAP, which is high altitude pulmonary edema. It's altitude sickness. So I came into fight week on Monday with bad fucking altitude sickness. And people don't realize that. If you go look at the media day, I couldn't even talk. I had freaking phlegm coming down my throat, couldn't breathe. So already going into the fight, I was compromised. And then in the first 30 seconds, I throw a kick. I break my foot in 3 different places. So that's not a reflection of who I am and how I fight. I was just compromised. It wasn't my night, and that happens. It's one fight. I've had, 21 fights, 22 fights. So you're going to have some hiccups here and there. I had a lot of adversity that I had to face in that fight. So Saturday night, I look forward to proving those doubters wrong and silencing all my critics.
Colby, over here to your right. Saw a comment from you, sir, recently that said right now you're currently in the best mental place that you've ever been in. What was the process of getting to that place?
Just forgetting about the chatter, not paying attention to anything or anybody's opinion, because everybody has an opinion in this world, and most of the time they're like assholes. They stink. So, just